Lisa, to my guest, thank you so much for being on the show. How you doing? How you feeling?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Me too. Yeah, we've been kikiing because it's so disclaimer. I really don't listen to a lot of podcasts because I podcast so much. I don't know if you feel the same way,
Yeah, for
but it's
sure.
like right because it's like I'm always hearing somebody in my head. But y'all, when I tell you about our guest Madison McGhee, when I was listening to her story, her podcast, Ice Cold Case, I have never listened to anything that had me like, wow, like what the fuck is going on? How many times do you get that reaction?
Every time it's I have that reaction myself and then friends, family, listeners. It's always like, I mean, I'll have people come up to me that I'm friends with and they're like, "So, catch me up because I'm listening." And I'm like, "What is going on?" And so, yeah, it's funny people from all corners of my world are like, "What the fuck?"
Right? Now, did you ever imagine your story would grow the way it has and resonate with so many people?
Oh my God, never. Never. I didn't understand really the gravity of everything. I don't
Right.
even know if I still do. But I definitely couldn't have anticipated in the beginning sort of everything that would transpire as a result of this show. Yeah.
You know, it's so funny because when I was listening to your show and like obviously we're a podcaster, so like I'm listening to like the background, the details, and I can hear you like your breathing changing, and I'm like, oh my God, like I can only imagine how mentally exhausting this must have been.
Oh yeah. I'm so it's funny. I don't think about it too much anymore because it's sort of just become a part of my day to day. But I am so much more tired than I used to be. And my friends
Absolutely.
joke because they're like, I'm about to be 30 this summer. And they're like, oh, you're just getting old. That's why you're tired. And I'm like, no, like I take a nap every day at 3 o'clock. I took a nap before this. I take a nap every day at 3 o'clock. I am tired all the time. My friend the other day was like, Madison, you're my sleepiest friend. Like you're always so tired. And I really truly think it's because of all of this and like
Mhm.
the work that I'm doing is so exhausting like mentally that like I'm just exhausted all the time.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you're an investigator, and then also I don't think people understand when it comes to podcasting, like podcasting is a lot of work.
Yeah. It's an easier lift compared to television and film. It's a
Right.
harder lift because normally when you're doing a podcast, you're doing it by yourself. So they
Facts.
kind of like trap you into it by being like, well, look how much easier it is. It's just a mic
Hmm.
and a little board and you hit record. And like, isn't that so much easier than like making a movie or starting a YouTube channel or whatever? And you're like,
Right.
yeah, that seems like, okay, that seems a lot easier. And then you start doing it and you're like, oh, but I have to do everything. I have to edit.
Yeah.
I have to post it. I have
You
to
taking the notes, you're
promote it.
interviewing,
Yeah,
you
it's a
recapping.
so much stuff. And I think that's where they kind of like bait and switch you into thinking it's easier because in theory, if you had the same resources as a television show, yeah, it would be, but you don't, and that's normally why you podcast. And so that it's a lot of work. It's a full-time job. It's you're doing a ton of different roles. You're shifting into different responsibilities all the time and trying to kind of compartmentalize everything in your brain. It,
Right.
it's so much. It's so much.
And even when I was listening to one of the episodes when you had a conversation with Daryl and you was like, oh, I wish I would have did that, I wish I would have did that. And I'm like, you be so caught up in the moment that it's kind of hard for you to even like remember or just keep track of everything because you're literally living in the moment.
Oh yeah, I mean, and then I was like, I'm obviously in fear of my safety. So
That too.
I'm my security guard. I'm the interviewer. I'm the producer. I'm thinking about what the show is going to end up being with this interview. I'm like thinking
Right.
about 100 things all at the same time. And then you leave and you're like, I wish I had had something else. But in a real world, in a bigger production, a higher budget thing, there would have been a producer like taking notes the entire time, going, okay, we really wish that we would have this. Hey, Madison, ask this. And like you
Right.
have all of that, but you don't have that. So you're just kind of in the moment trying to think of all this stuff. I had a little bit of prep. I had some questions I wanted to ask, but yeah, I mean, once you're in that moment, everything just like goes, and you're like, I don't even know what. Why are we here? What's going on?
I'm surprised the network hasn't picked you up. Like, have anybody been reaching out to you? That's that yes, they've been reaching out, laugh.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of meetings,
Okay.
and the unfortunate reality is that my dad's case is not solved. They love to use
Mm,
not adjudicated. So that is something that a lot of people want to keep their hands off of, which to me, the reason I'm doing this, the reason a lot of people end up doing something like what I'm doing is to solve the case.
right.
So a deal, a network, a documentary, any sort of thing like that isn't really like your thought once it's all done. You're kind of like, well, this was the point of why I'm doing this. I don't want to wait until I've solved it to
Right.
a documentary on Netflix. Like a documentary on Netflix might help me solve the case. And so to hear that can get really frustrating because it's kind of like, well, that's the whole point of all this is to solve it. Like
Right.
I'm not doing all of this to get a Netflix doc. I'm doing all of this to solve the
To solve
case.
my father's death. Right.
So when you're telling me like, oh, call us once it's solved, it's like, hopefully I've moved on with my life by then and I'm doing something else and I'm
Right.
happy and I've had closure and yeah, it can get really frustrating when you realize no one but you is really in it for the right reasons or cares as
Mm,
much. And to them, it's like the story is interesting, even more so if it's solved, and then they start to see dollar signs. And that's yeah, it's a tough. I mean, I work in entertainment, so I'm not numb to it, but when it's something so personal, it can get really frustrating.
yeah, and I can only imagine because why would you want to relive this again?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to go through this again mentally. Like, I want to solve my father's murder and then I want to move on with my life.
Exactly. And you know, you'd like to think, oh, well, wouldn't I keep using Netflix as an example, we can change up. Wouldn't Hulu or HBO want to be part of the solving of a case? Wouldn't they want to like give this person a platform so that they could get
Yeah,
information out there and then the case gets solved? But they're not in the business of doing good. They're in the business of
I'm
making money.
making money. That's a fact.
And not that I think that the story wouldn't make them money. I think it absolutely would. But they feel this very weird obligation based on market research I've never seen before that viewers must have a solved case at the end. They must have closure at the end. And they think that if they present them with a documentary or a story that doesn't end in a full circle, here it's all done type of situation, that the viewers will be upset. And I'm not sure that that's factual.
I don't agree with that because I also feel like somebody like me, I'm going to be so invested that I'm going to try to help you get to the end goal as a viewer.
A hundred
Like,
percent. And my
right.
argument is always that, you know, anyone who's connected to crime, which a lot of us are, even if you don't really realize it, there's more unsolved cases in America than there are solved cases. So you're
Mhm.
probably connected to a cold case more likely than you are a solved case, which means the reality for you that you don't have closure through the judicial system is very high. And so that's actually a more realistic picture of what your life could look like when you don't go through court. What does closure look like? What does that mean?
Right.
And that's more real to me. And then hopefully, you know, I do solve it and I get to experience the other side of that. But right now, my reality is that that's not true. And I've been meeting through doing this show a ton of people where that's not their reality. They've never gone to
Mm.
court. They don't have a solved case. They haven't found their sister. They don't know who killed their sister or their dad or their mom, and they don't know what happened to their cousin who went missing 7 years ago. And you know, closure is a really interesting word that we use to say closed, but that doesn't necessarily, closure and closed are not the same. I think you can have
Right.
closure in your life without necessarily going through a court system and saying, oh, this person is behind bars. So I'm now exploring kind of what that looks like because that might unfortunately be my reality. I don't know yet. We'll see.
That's one of the biggest misconceptions that people have about starting a true crime podcast, especially when the story you're telling is your own. What would you say is some other misconceptions?
Oh my gosh.
Because I learned a lot through listening to your podcast. I don't really listen to true crime podcasts, even though I love true crime. But I was like, yeah, you might not always get closure at the end. And close and closure does not mean the same thing.
Yeah, and you know, there's a level of I'm curious now if I do find out who did it and it goes through kind of
You're
this
gonna find out.
like will I feel the type of closure I'm envisioning in my head, you know? And
Mm,
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a huge misconception with closure. I also think, you know, not to like toot my own horn about my show, but there's this very wild misconception that as a true crime consumer, which I used to be very fervently all the time listening to podcasts or watching docs or whatever it was, that all of true crime is really family focused,
Mm-hmm.
and victim centric. That's not true. There's a lot of stuff that's made that is not made with the consent of the family. There's a lot of stuff that's
That's
made
true.
in
That's true.
direct, adversely from the family. Families are not interested in something being drummed up or something happening or, a certain person covering a case for
Mm-hmm.
whatever reason. And it's really interesting being in this world on sort of both sides, on the journalism side and also on the family side,
Right.
kind of what goes on behind closed doors with a lot of these big podcast companies that are telling, or I would say exploiting these stories. And it really has given me kind of this interesting mission perspective journey through what does it look like to help families actually take on their own story and tell it the way that their
Mm.
family member deserves it to be told. So we'll see kind of what that journey looks like. But I do think that, that's a really big misconception is that a lot of people, it's like this don't meet your heroes sort of thing. But a lot of
Right.
people listen to these shows and think like, wow, like this white guy who has a podcast is just amazing. He's showcasing,
Right.
his story and what happened to this person. And I hope that like the family gets help. And it's like, well, that person actually was like not hired by the family, is making
Never spoke to the family.
never spoke to the family, making tons of money while the family is left with like press on their doorstep now and this case like right in the center of the media attention, and they're given no resources and they have no
Yeah.
idea how to handle it, and this person is like flying around making money and doing all of this stuff and kind of becoming a pseudo celebrity while the family is left to kind of pick up these pieces now of like their family member becoming also a pseudo celebrity but they're
Hmm.
dead. And it's a really there's a lot of really great people who work sort of against that and work to help families. I think of like Sarah Turney is a great example. Her sister went missing and they never found her, but she thinks that her dad killed her sister and is fighting for justice.
Oh,
And there's so
wow.
many people who are doing really, really good things to sort of counteract the bad. But unfortunately, the more popular ones are the not so good ones. So.
You make a good point. What was that TV show that was on Netflix? The serial killer, and he was dating the Black Death guy. Oh, he had the glasses, white guy with
Um,
the hair.
Dahmer?
Yes, Jeffrey Dahmer. And what you said, the family definitely spoke about that because they didn't have any relationship. They didn't have no knowledge of what was
Exactly.
going on. They had to relive all of this and they was going to take legal suit. And I thought it would be a good conversation to have on the show of those family members who unfortunately their loved one was passed away, but they have no relationship or anything. Like I'm like, how do you make a family? How do you make a movie of somebody's family and they're exploited, but you don't speak to the family? Like I think that is so crazy.
Yeah, or make a donation on their behalf to an organization that helps people like them. I mean, it's really interesting what fame and money and entertainment
Right.
can kind of do to people. And I think there's a way to balance that. I mean, there's a level of fame that can give you access to promote certain things. And I think there are people doing that. I think of like the Petito family, the
Mm-hmm.
Petito family, Gabby Petito's parents, who are doing truly incredible things with the platform that they were, unfortunately handed because of the circumstances. So there are ways to do it and do it right. And there
Right.
are people who are not doing that. And
Yeah.
so I think
And I
that's
feel like they make it hard for the people that want to do it right too.
Oh yeah, I mean it really is like one bad apple spoils the bunch. One family member talks to one bigger show and they get completely burned, and then when
Mm-hmm.
another person comes in that could really help them, they're too upset by the circumstances that happened before, they don't want to speak to anyone. And so it's really sad, but I think that there's a lot of people fighting against that right now, and I have a lot of hope for true crime in general and also just this sort of um, victim-centered storytelling that is
Yeah.
happening. And I mean, it's a big inspiration for my show. I could have, gone into this and felt really jaded, where I could have reached out to another show and said, please tell my story. But it was like, I want to tell it myself and I want to
Yeah.
show people how you can kind of take ownership of your own story.
And I think you did such a good job when it came to balancing you being a storyteller as well as you living in the story.
Yeah, it's a weird line to ride. And sometimes I'm like, it's such a whirlwind, and I
Yeah.
really try hard to be as unbiased as possible and really ride that journalism line and tell the story. But I think the emotional piece is really important so people kind of understand what I'm going through and
Yeah.
try to tell that side. It's a lot, and it's tough because I hold it together fairly well. I mean, I'm in
No, you
therapy
do.
and like I do a lot of work on myself, but there are days where it's like I'm not getting out of bed today. I'm not doing anything. Like I'm so emotionally exhausted and it's tough. It can be really tough. And
It's
people don't
taxing.
understand that. Yeah, people do not understand because those other people that are not so connected to a story, they clock in and clock out. They clock in, they write a little bit, they do some investigating, they make some phone
Right.
calls, and then at 6 o'clock at the end of the day, they go to dinner with their friends, and their life isn't really impeded at all by this story that they're covering and the case that they're covering. Versus with me or people who are so closely related to the story, you don't get to clock out. Your family is hitting you up all the time. You're stressed, you're having nightmares. It's like, it's a
Mm.
whole thing because it's your life, and you don't get to clock out of your life.
Yeah. No, that's a fact. How has social media played a role in your investigation?
Um, It's played an interesting role. I think I'm really bad at posting online. So I should be better and learn to post clips, whatever.
I know.
But I
I know
don't.
it's mad
So,
annoying, right?
oh, I gotta get better. But I will say, it's been kind of twofold. So, there's been a lot of support, which I am just so wildly grateful for, even within my little community of people that have been following me sans clips. So I'm very grateful that I've built even that little bit of a following there. But and people are really supportive. And then there's the other side where people are very cruel. Um,
Yeah.
I get a lot of hate from specifically my family members who I think are wildly suspicious. You've listened to this,
Yeah.
you understand. Um, and so, yeah, my family's kind of split in that way, where some of my family is like, I'm really glad you're doing this. This is amazing. Like, your dad deserves justice. And then some of my family are like, I'm watching you. Like, I'm coming for you. You shouldn't be doing this, which I'm like, okay, sure.
Right.
Okay. And then some, comments and podcast reviews are my least favorite thing. I had to stop reading
Oh,
them.
I hate fucking podcast reviews. Please do not
Uh-huh.
get me started.
Yeah, they're really bad. And it's like we're
But
the
you got
worst
good podcast
people.
reviews though.
I have some good ones, and some are great. And then
Yeah.
every once in a while, it's like 1 star, like this girl doesn't know what she's talking about, or I've got a couple that are funny. I did a read of mean reviews on my podcast for actually a clip on Instagram, so I did something online, and I just thought it was funny, and I read a bunch of mean reviews, and like some of them were like, "This lady needs help," and like it was like very funny, but.
Right.
Some are not funny. Some are like actually like they know what to say to like
Yeah. I had one like that and I wanted to pull up on Shorty because I was so mad.
yeah, yeah. And I wish I could, you can't respond to them, which I'm
I
like,
know.
I hate that because I'm like, I just want to defend myself.
But you know what?
But
It's a good reason why we can't respond because, girl, we'll be going back and forth with these niggas. Like,
I know I'd get canceled for sure if I was like, all right, fine, let me tell you why, blah, 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 blah.
right.
But yeah, I mean, I think social media has kind of done this twofold thing of been a great way for me to get tips. I mean, people reach out,
Hmm.
they send stuff. Oh, I grew up with your dad, or I knew your sister, or whatever, and they'll write in some stuff that's really helpful. And then you kind of have, the haters.
Yeah. Yeah. Has there been a moment where grief hit you in a way you didn't expect it?
Oh, yeah. Wow, all kinds of ways. I think one of the things I wasn't really prepared for was I've not been very good about preemptively baking in time for like recovery. So
Mm,
when
that's
I
important.
record a podcast episode, I get really emotional like a couple days after.
Hmm.
Um, and my timelines are so crunched that I don't
Facts.
have time for that. And so like I'm about to put out an episode late this week because I was supposed to be editing all weekend and I didn't because I was like, I just can't listen to this again. I just recorded this.
Yeah,
Can't listen to this again right now. And that's I should have just baked in more time for that. And so I was not prepared for like the weight that, recording an episode seems so easy. Like I've already written it, like I know what it says. I've already done kind of the hard work, which is like writing the thing. But there's something about sitting in a room that's silent, like
yeah.
two other people and like reading what I wrote that can get really heavy and that carries on for several days. I also think
That's a
something
lot,
that,
Madison.
yeah, it's a
Nah,
lot.
you gotta take better care when it comes to that because that can really fuck with your psyche.
Oh, 100%. And the other thing that I was definitely not prepared for, which I'm grateful for and unprepared for, was people coming up to me at events or conferences or wherever, airports, elevators, and they're telling me their story.
That's a
Um,
lot too.
yeah, it's like my favorite and least favorite thing ever.
Same.
I love it. I love to hear people who feel close to me and resonate with the show because that's part of why, I made it. I made it to solve my dad's murder, but I also made it because there wasn't anything for someone like me to feel connected to. And
Right.
so, when I meet people and they tell me their stories, it's beautiful that they feel the vulnerability and the connection to me to be able to share. But I carry that shit with me for like months.
Yeah.
I still think about people's dads who went missing and like all kinds of stuff. It's just like
It's a
so
lot.
hard to like, I have nightmares about people and I'm like wishing I could help or do more.
Hmm.
Should I make a call? Should I try to do something? And it's a lot. And there's a funny, like they call it trauma dumping, which
Yeah.
I think is a funny word, but I take on a lot of people's stuff when I go to these events. And so there's like a week long period after where I'm just like purging all of the grief that like I have and that other people have kind of put on me. And I was definitely not prepared for that.
Yeah, that's something that I had to deal with because for my show, like I interview so many different people from different walks of life, and a lot of the people I interview are survivors. And one particular interview was with this woman. She was dating a serial killer. She didn't know, and he ended up killing their child. And I didn't go into details about how the baby was killed, all this other stuff, because I also feel like she does a really great job with, sharing that part of her story in her book. But I also realized that, like, a lot of people have a very unhealthy relationship with trauma. And I had to take a step back because, like you said, it's very heavy. Like, people email me, they come up to me. Like, I'm happy that this is a platform where people feel comfortable and they can share their stories, but I really don't want to hear
Yeah.
because I think about it nonstop. All these emails I'm getting, I'm like, oh, it's a lot to take in.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah, and now I have, connections and resources that I can send them, which is nice. I've got friends who build like advocacy blueprints for families and
Right,
do other things. So that's nice to be able to at least give them something, but you can't unhear what you've heard. So it's like, well, I still know.
right. I didn't read it now.
Yeah, I
Right.
already know. And I can kind of feel better at least because when in the beginning it was like I hear a story and I go, I have no idea how to help you. And now at least it's kind of like, okay, I have something I can do. It's not gonna,
Yeah.
change your life, but I can give you something that's helpful. And here's, an online resource or an email or whatever. And that feels a little bit better because it's like, okay, I
Mhm.
did something, but you still play those stories in your head over and over. And you're like, I just wish that these bad things weren't happening in the world.
Right. Like, girl, I'm trying to enjoy my drink. Like,
Yeah.
girl, can you email me? I'm trying to hear this shit right now. Wait, so how much have you spent financially? Because I feel like you was traveling nonstop. Like, how much have you really poured into investigating your dad's murder? Because I could just only
Um,
imagine like the quality of the quality of your podcast, and then you putting money on people's books to have conversations with them. Like,
yeah. I maxed out every credit card I have,
oh wow,
making this show after spending all of my savings. And I am in like an insane amount of debt. I'm actually like trying to figure out kind of what to do now.
Oh, we gotta find you some money, Madison.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but I can tell. I'm like, she spent a lot of money on this.
Yeah, I'm probably at around like a little over 100K in on like promoting the show, making the show, interviewing people, flying out to talk to people in person who don't want to be on the phone, or trying to build that rapport and connection with them. So meeting them like face to face, or yeah,
Right.
money on people's books, traveling to these conferences. Like they don't pay me to go. So I have to fly myself out, put myself in a hotel. I'm there for five
Yeah,
days, so I have to get food.
that's a part of your marketing.
Yeah, it's a part of marketing. It's a part of, yeah, like building a network of people to help and to meet, meet PIs and people who can file FOIAs for me, and doing all this networking, finding new listeners who could potentially then listen to the podcast, and then I get ad revenue. It's like it's this whole ecosystem. And it's very much this like you have to spend money to make money, but what happens if you don't have money to spend? And it's this like
Right.
equitable thing. It's a whole thing. I'm very fortunate that my credit score was good enough for now the only time in my life that I had credit cards available with
Right.
those limits. And now, I mean, I'll never be able to get a credit card again.
No,
But
yes, she will. Yes, she will. Yes, she will.
so yeah, there's a level of privilege there to even be able to max out credit cards. But yeah, I really believed in this and my dad's story, and sort of myself in a way where I thought I would get really close to solving it. So I was like, you know what? Swipe the card, swipe the card, swipe the card. It's going to be worth it. I'm going to solve this case.
Hmm.
And yeah, here we are.
Nah, you're gonna solve this case, Madison. I feel it. I No, I'm serious. I really do. Like, I feel like when you are hitting a wall, that means you're getting close. And I feel like you hit a couple of walls, and I'm like, she gonna figure it out. Like, you're gonna
Yeah.
solve this case, and then we're gonna have you back on, and we're gonna celebrate.
Yeah, perfect. I'm ready.
Yeah, because I feel like you're so close.
Yeah, I feel very close. And that shifts sometimes. There's been moments over the last 3 years where I've been like, I'm right here. I'm right here. It's right here. And
Yeah,
it's like, oh, not even close. And but I do feel like those have all kind of in a weird way gotten me closer and closer, because you can rule out
absolutely.
certain things, and you can kind of see my board back here. I've got all kinds of stuff up there with people's names and ruling things out, and oh, maybe we reintroduce this, and what about this? So I do feel very close. I feel like I've really honed it down to a couple people, a few motives left. Um, and now it's really like finding these people, which is sort of the easiest part of all of this. 3 years
Right,
ago, I didn't know these people's names. So now it's just like, oh, I just have to find them. Well, I have to know their name. Like easy enough. I'll find them. And
right.
maybe that will shift something, and talking to people who it's been so long now. A lot of these people are implicated for other things. I'm
I'm like, damn,
hearing
is everybody in jail?
everybody's in jail, but like one person. And I'm thinking, maybe there's a world where they could cut a deal or do something for information. So yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, we'll see. I mean, I'm talking to a lot of people behind bars lately. So yeah, it's also, a world I was very shielded from, very unfamiliar with. And now I'm like,
Yeah.
boop, boop, boop on
Right,
people's
right.
phones and all kinds of crazy stuff. It's really interesting.
Was there ever a time where you wanted to just give up and be like, just fuck this shit? Like, I just can't no more?
Yeah, yesterday. No, but well, kind of. But yeah, I mean, I definitely have these moments where it's like, what is the point of all of this? Like, am I still
Yeah.
in it for like a pride issue where it's like, I've started this, everyone knows I'm doing this. If I stop now, they're gonna think I'm a quitter. And like, should I just hang it up because like I'm just not getting any closer, and I'm spending money I don't have, and I just can't do this anymore? Like my landlord is very upset with me because I'm, not paying my rent. And like there's just so
Yeah.
much going on that it's like, um,
And you
you know,
probably feel lonely too.
oh my, it's the most isolating feeling ever to be like,
Yeah.
I, am running on this hamster wheel trying to solve a case that I can't really solve. I'm spending money now that I do not have. My priorities are this, and I have no other work. I have no other job. I'm just doing this right now, trying to survive. from a financial perspective, really, of like rent and bills, but then also like a mental perspective of like, this is just taking such a toll on me that like if my friend was like, hey, my job makes me feel exhausted every day and I'm emotionally drained and I feel
Right.
like, if I just listed out the feelings I had without talking about what I was doing, and my friend came to me and said, this is how my job makes me feel, I'd be like, oh, quit. And so it's like, why am I not quitting? And so, yeah, I do think about it a lot. It was a big conversation I had with myself before I put out part three, which is coming out right now. Was like, do I even bother? Like, do I just stop? In August, I like really had to have an honest conversation with myself about, should I just end it now? And is this it? Is this as close as I'm gonna get? Do I investigate it just on the side on my own for not a podcast and just not make it public and just do it on my own? Because it's just a lot of work, time, energy, money, emotional capacity. I'm 29, I'm trying to build a life. I just got into a new relationship. My last
Hmm.
relationship was kind of ruined by this podcast. So it's like,
Oh, wow.
what do I do? How do I navigate this? Have I learned any lessons? I want to quit all the time,
Yeah,
but
I feel you.
um, but I don't. And
Because it's
um,
bigger than you.
yeah. And now it's a little bit bigger than my dad. I mean,
Absolutely.
there's this inequity happening in counties like Belmont County, Ohio. There are others, but I'm just really embedded in Belmont County, but where people should know what's going on. I kind of equate it to like 30 years ago, journalism was this really powerful tool where if you lived in a county where your water supply was filled with chemicals, a
Hmm.
journalist may have gotten an anonymous tip from someone who
Right.
worked at the water company, and they investigate it and they write this incredible investigative piece about it. And then the entire town is like, oh my God, we should stop drinking the water. And that was journalism. Hey, your politicians are corrupt. Hey, did you know that this was going on in your school system? Did you know
Right.
they're putting this stuff in your water? And it was like this really powerful tool. And journalists were public servants. They were there for the public to share
Hmm.
information. And, I think that's still happening to a degree, but it's really gotten spun around. And there's different types of journalism and there's different types of reporters. And, everyone's got a podcast and everyone's
Yeah,
got
everybody got a mic, child.
there's all this stuff. And
Right.
I feel like my show has taken a lot of different turns and is still very much focused on my dad's case. But something I've really tried to do is like bring back this sense of like, what does this show mean for like the people of Belmont County? And to me, it's, hey, did you know your police department is super corrupt? Did you know
Yeah.
that the sheriff you elected is doing these things? Did you know that the prosecutor that you vote for is choosing not to prosecute anyone in my dad's case? And guess what? My dad was shot and killed in his house. Yes, he
Yeah.
was a drug dealer. Yes, he was a confidential informant, but he wasn't shot on a street corner. He wasn't shot in the middle of a drug deal. He was shot in his house unarmed. He could have
Right.
been you. He could have been your dad, your sister, your brother, your cousin. He could have been anyone that you know if you live in Belmont County, and your
Right.
police department would have done nothing about it. And
Hmm.
isn't that a problem?
Because
And
now
so,
we got a killer walking the streets.
yeah. And now the show has sort of taken this turn of, hey, Belmont County, pay attention to what's going on because you are in control of who is in power. And you should know that this is what's happening. And so it's sort of taken on this like extra layer of public affairs, public servantry, where I'm like, you need to know what's going on in your town. And, I'm backing all of that up with facts and figures and former cases that they've had on their tables and all of these things. But yeah, it's really become this extra thing that it does feel bigger than me and also now bigger than my dad.
Child, I know you pissing a lot of people off.
Oh
Because when
yeah.
I'm listening to your
Yeah.
show, You was dropping names, you was
Oh yeah.
dropping situations. I'm like, yo, how many threats have this girl received?
Oh, so many. I get death threats all the time. I actually
Not you smiling about it.
I'm writing an op-ed for an outlet I probably can't say right now, but they keep fact checking, and I just got a text. It's so funny from my friend who's been helping me with like copy editing, and she was like, "Hey, I need screenshots of your family threatening you." For the fact checker. And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I have a folder on my phone. Don't worry, I'll just pull them up and send them over to you." Yeah,
Wow.
it's I get them all the time. I to me they're empty threats because I'm like, y'all are broke people in Ohio. I live in LA. Like, how are you even gonna get to me to kill
Not you
me?
calling your family broke, child.
Like, you can't afford to pay someone to kill me, and you definitely can't afford to come here and find me and kill me. So I'm like, I'll just let it be. But it does get a little spooky because you're like, oh shit, like that's kind of scary. But I'm
Right.
like, yeah, no, like my like 21-year-old little cousin who's mad that I said his dad's name in a podcast. He's not flying out here to find me. But maybe he will. I don't know. Who knows? Um, but
Madison, you crazy.
but
You
I'm also
like
like, put me out of my
these niggas not
misery. You be doing me a
right.
favor. Like, okay. Oh no, you killed me and I don't have to pay rent. Oh no, like it's so
Right. I ain't gotta pay
terrible.
this debt. Thank
Yeah,
you,
I'm
Jesus.
like, oh
Right.
no, that's so bad. I don't have to pay Bank of America back. Oh, that's the worst. So I'm like, whatever, fine.
Right.
If it's my time, it's my time, you know?
Right. I can see why you want to work in comedy because that's mad funny. Like, oh, I'm dead. No,
Oh
I ain't gotta pay
no.
rent. Right.
Yeah,
But do
no
you know how
more
to
rent.
protect yourself? Like, do you know how to shoot and stuff?
Oh no, I've never held a gun in my life. My friends always like, I'm always like, oh yeah, I don't believe in guns, and they're like, well, guns are real. Like guns aren't Santa Claus. Like you believe that they exist, and I'm like, no, I don't believe in guns. I don't
I
believe in.
think you should at least learn how to shoot though, just for because of just of the magnitude of what you're doing and like this is a real case. So I just always want you to make sure that you're safe.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely should be doing a little bit more. I did install like an extra lock on my door in my apartment. I need to call my landlord
Okay.
to see if I can.
And get a camera in your house.
Yeah, yeah, stuff like that. But.
Madison, you don't care. You like, yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
yeah, I will. And like twirling my hair, like, I think,
Right.
but yeah, I know I need to, but it's like again, it's one of those things where my to-do list is so long, and like
Yeah.
every day, it's like I have to add 5 things to it, and I only get 3 things done. So then I carry those things over to the
Yeah,
next.
it rolls
It
over.
just gets longer and longer, and stuff like that. I mean, as important as it is for sure, it's like, all right, well, I'll get to that in like a year and a half when I have time. I'm like, yeah, it's like, what am I supposed to do? And I do everything by myself with the exception of like a couple friends helping me with some things because I don't have money to pay them. And I really don't like having people like work for free. So like my one friend is helping me and we're kind of building this together and that's really nice. But
Yeah.
other than that, it's like, I can't afford to have people kind of help with the to-do list. So it's like, it's all on me and I just got to do it. And then episodes are late and that's
Yeah.
the
Have you
reality.
thought about doing a GoFundMe account?
I did one last year. I'm really weird about asking for money.
Me too. I'm worried about GoFundMe accounts overall, but I think in your case, people will support you.
Yeah, I'm really weird about it. It's still up. I never took it down, but it's also like such a weird time. I mean, I live in LA, and at the time that I did it, which was like a year ago, a little over a year ago, all my friends were still recovering from the strike. People
Yeah.
were like figuring out work stuff. Now, LA was on fire 5 months ago, and our economy is tanking before our eyes, and it's like everyone is struggling, and I'm really sensitive to
Yeah.
that. But it's still up. It's there. I don't even know if anyone. I don't think anyone's like done anything with it recently. But
Well,
we got
share it
a
with me
little
once we
bit.
get off so I can share it with
Okay,
my people.
thank you.
Yeah, so we can support you.
Yeah, we got like 4 grand, which was super helpful. It was like exactly what I needed to keep the show going through part 2, which was awesome.
Hmm.
And it's still up, but yeah, it's been really interesting. Yeah, but that to-do list just grows and grows and grows. And it's
Yeah.
like, with life stuff and personal stuff and also podcast stuff and work and trying to find work and all that kind of stuff. It gets to be a
It's a
lot.
lot.
And when you're tired and you're emotionally drained. I've got days where it's like, I just want to lay on my couch and watch Real Housewives of Beverly Hills for like 12
Right.
hours. Like, I don't want to, it's one of those things where like you've so much to do, you don't know where to begin. So you're like, I just
That's a
won't do
fact.
anything. And then I don't do
Right.
anything at all. And then the next day I'm like,
Like,
uh,
how did I get so backed up?
yeah, yeah. Like, wait, how did we get here? And then it like cuts to me like black and white, just like scrolling through Netflix. And it's like, oh, that's how we got here. Right, right, right.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the things that you spoke about that I feel like a lot of Black women go through is imposter syndrome. So, how has imposter syndrome ever made you question whether you're doing too much, or does it make you feel like you're not doing enough?
Both. I feel like in the beginning, I guess it's always it's been both.
Yeah.
It's been this weird sense of I'm doing too much, I'm too loud, I'm making too big of a splash. In the beginning I was making bags that said, "Did you kill my dad?" on them. I'm like giving them away and like really trying to like have a big, push and get
Yeah.
people to go, "Wait, what's this about?" And it made me really feel like I think a feeling that a lot of Black women feel, which is like I'm taking up too much space. Like I'm just
Mm.
taking up way too much space here.
Right.
And, all these people are looking at me like, where'd you come from? What are you doing here? And you're
Hmm.
like, oh no, am I being too like loud? Am I making too much of a splash? Should I try to like morph and fit in a little bit better and kind of work my way up through the proper channels instead of just coming in and doing it my own way?
Right.
Um, and then sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm doing it my own way, and that's not enough. And I should have done it the way that all these other people did it because they know more than me and they're doing more than me. And they're being interviewed by Dax Shepard on Armchair Expert, and they're number one on the podcast charts, and they know how to
Mm.
do all this stuff. And I'm just over here like, hey, I'm figuring it out and I'm mixing my show and I'm editing it
It's a
alone
lot.
don't know what I'm doing. And all these people have like, these crews and these teams and their shows are, skyrocketing and probably making a ton of money. And it makes you feel kind of like, oh, is the value of my show in how much money I'm producing or how many downloads I'm getting? And if that's the case, then my show sucks. And you can
Right.
really spiral.
Oh, I
Um,
know.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so I go through that a lot. I mean, on a daily basis. I mean, I'm looking all the time at like, where's the podcast stand today? Oh, we're not on the charts at all. Awesome. That's great. I'll just go
Which
back to
is
bed.
so crazy. But don't let that get to you, because that's something that I have to tell myself, because I feel like my show is fucking amazing. Like, I feel like you're not going to hear stories like this from women that look like us, for us to speak, just be ourselves. And I feel like it was a point in time where people were coming out and people like, oh my God, they're so amazing. And I'm like, she's talking about the same shit I'm talking about. My shit is better. It's just like,
Hmm.
it's so frustrating. I don't think people understand why we need you to support, why we need you to listen, why the reviews matter, why you need to share. Like, if you can't support me financially, there's other ways that you can support me so this show can grow.
100,000%. And most, especially, I think that's another great thing about podcasting is most of the ways to support podcasters are free. Um,
Exactly.
it costs no money. Downloading the
Right.
episode, writing a review, sharing it, like all of those things are truly free. And they pay dividends because advertisers see that and they want to invest in shows, and advertisers see that
Right.
and they want to run more ads on shows, and then you get bigger advertisers and all of that stuff like adds up, and that's all at the cost of the listener $0. It's nothing at all.
$0. You just gotta
And
listen. Give me
so
10
you just have to
seconds.
listen. Yeah. And so yeah, it's really it's the beauty of podcasting, but it's also tough because then on the other side of it, there's so much saturation and so many shows and so much stuff. And I read a stat that was like if you get like 1,000 downloads an episode or something, you're in the top 1% of all podcasts because there's so many podcasts.
Yeah.
And that's just crazy to me because it's how do you find your community in a sea of all of these things? But I think I want to believe that the good shows end up kind of finding their way, even if it takes a while.
It takes a while.
But, sometimes I lose faith in that. But I really want to believe that like shows like yours and like I've got friends who have really incredible podcasts And I'm like, I want to believe that those shows eventually will have their moment and get their day.
But not those shows, our shows, because your show would get that moment too. But I
Yeah.
also think it's important that we support each other. So when I found your show and I read about it, I was like, oh, without a doubt. I reached out to you. Like, I'm like, I have to have you on the show because this is what people need to hear. I feel like I can't even imagine the things you go through on a daily basis. And then just financially, like it's really lonely.
It's so isolating. And I've got friends who they're not doing great, by any means. I don't know anyone who's like, rolling in money right now, but they're
Right.
doing well to the point where it's like, oh, let's take a trip or let's go do something, or like, let's go to dinner tonight. And it's like very weird to be almost 30 and be like, oh, I can't. That's really isolating because it's like you kind of work your whole 20s and like kind of scruff
Yeah.
it up and like really like eat ramen and do all those things to like so by the time you're in your late 20s you're like okay, I'm a little bit more like if I want something I can get it, or if I want to do something I
Right.
can do it. And to be now sort of in a place where like I'm not there is incredibly isolating, because also like my friends don't fully understand.
Oh, if they're
Like,
not a creative, forget about it.
yeah,
Yeah.
they don't fully understand, and so it's tough. And yeah, it's also just like, I think we're all hard on ourselves and we expect a lot from ourselves. So it's very sad
Yeah.
for me to be like, oh, I wish I was in a different place. And I think that goes back to the frustration that you probably hear in the podcast, which is like, I don't want to be doing this. I don't
Yeah.
want to be talking to you on the show because I wish that I didn't have my podcast. Like, I wish I didn't have to be doing this. And
Yeah.
I am, and I do have to do this. And it's very frustrating because at the end of the day, like, I'd rather be doing something else. I'd rather be like building a career and having a life and like going to like on trips with my friends and eating dinners with cool people and meeting new people and having these cool experiences and not sitting at home sad and trying to regroup from a long day of investigating my dad's murder. Like, I wish that I wasn't doing this. Um,
Yeah.
and if the police had done their job, then I wouldn't be. And my life would be in a completely different spot right now. And I'd probably be, at a point where I'm like paying back my mom and my grandma for the money that they've helped me with all these years, which is like by the time I turned 30, something I hoped I could do. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's just really sad that the reality is like the police didn't do their job and now I'm doing this and now I'm sort of in this position because of their incompetencies, and it's incredibly frustrating.
Yeah. Now, what made you start the investigation on your own? Like, did something happen, or did you was having conversation with the police officer and you was just like something's not adding up?
Yeah, so I didn't have a ton of info when I first started. I called, well, it was during the pandemic, so I was very bored and I didn't have a job because nobody had a job, and I was just sitting at home and watching TV all day, like Tiger King and Love is
Oh,
Blind,
Tiger King was
all
so
that kind of stuff.
good.
Yeah, it was like crazy. Um, and like watching like TikToks of people like washing their like fruit with like Dawn dish soap or something. But I was super bored and I was watching like old true crime docs and listening to old podcasts and doing all that kind of stuff that we were all sort of stuck at home doing.
Hmm.
And it really dawned on me that a lot of the shows I used to watch or used to listen to back in 2015, 2016, 2017, in 2020 were going through court or had a retrial or something had happened. There was motion in the case as
Hmm.
a result of the things that I listened to back 5 years ago. And so I was like, oh, interesting. I wonder if I just like got a hold of my dad's case files, like what I would find. And maybe, 5 years later, which is now, there would be some movement there. And so I called to get the case files, and that was really when it started. And then yeah, I had that moment of like as soon as I started reading the case files, it was like, oh, this is weird and suspicious and like things aren't adding up. And why didn't they investigate this? And why did they never talk to this person?
Like,
And
it's common sense at this point.
yeah. And so yeah, that was kind of the path. It was like a very loose, like, what if I did something like this? And then it was like, oh, I have to do something like this because what the fuck is this case file?
Right. Right. Do you ever feel guilty for the things you uncovered or how it affected other people?
Yeah, I
No, you don't,
feel
Madison.
I feel like a weird, I don't even know the word for it. Bad,
Mm,
no. I feel and responsible, no. I feel I don't know the right word to use, to be honest with you, but there's this sense of I don't like exposing my family necessarily. I don't
hmm.
like this like dragging skeletons out of the closet type thing, but I feel similarly with that as I do the police, where it's like,
Right.
well, if you guys had done something a long time ago, then I wouldn't need to be doing this. So it's
Hmm.
sort of like you made your bed and now you have to lie in it. It's not my fault that you did the things you did. It's maybe my fault that I'm talking about them. But if you had owned it back in the day, or if you had done something to further investigate my dad's murder and not brushed it under the rug, then I probably wouldn't be talking about how your drug dealing could potentially have been a cause for my dad's murder. And if it
Right.
wasn't, then we would have been all moved on from this and it's fine. But you didn't choose to like investigate. I mean, I was 6 when this happened. What was I supposed to do about it? But if you all had done something about it, then I wouldn't have grown up to then do what I'm doing now. So that's kind of how I feel, where it's like, I don't like doing it. I wish I didn't have to do it, but I have to investigate every possible avenue. And
Yeah.
if that includes your illegal activity as a possible motive for why my dad got killed or why they were at Omar's house or why something was going on, then that's just the reality. And if you had done this when I was 6 and when my dad was first murdered, then maybe we wouldn't be here. So
Right.
it's like I feel, empathy for them, but I don't feel bad because they made those choices, they made those decisions, and they just thought that they were going to get away with it. So like that's not my problem.
Yeah, I feel like when it comes to the family members, I feel like they're struggling to navigate the line between loyalty and more accountability. Like it's really hard for
100%.
them. Yeah.
100%. And, it would be very easy. A lot of this stuff I'm brushing up myself. This isn't information that they've offered me, which
Right.
also to me is suspicious. So if they had come to me and been like, hey, listen, I was drug dealing and I sometimes would run into Daryl Smith and
Right.
we would exchange words, but we weren't really that close. And I remember this about him and he drove this kind of car. And that's all I know. If I then found out, oh, they were drug dealing and they did see Daryl sometimes, it'd be like, oh, they already told me all that. We're all good. I already knew that. And like, I don't think it has anything to do with it. But when they don't tell me that, and then I find out,
It looks
it's like,
suspicious.
oh, well, that's a little weird that I talked to them for 4 hours and they never brought that up once.
Right.
Weird to me. And so that's when I call it out. So it's not like I'm just out here like, here's everyone's laundry. It's like, oh, I had to find out that Omar's brother was married to Daryl's ex-girlfriend for 6 months
Mm.
through the ex-girlfriend because you didn't ever tell me that. Okay, I'm gonna bring that up because that's weird.
Right.
And so it's
Child,
like,
Omar had me so stressed, child.
oh
I'm
my
like,
God,
come
I
on
know.
now. What we doing here?
Yeah, I mean, well, that man, he needs a few more screws in his head. But yeah, that it's stuff like that where it's like, I'm not intentionally just being like, here's everyone's business. Like, there's stuff I
Yeah.
don't share. But I share the stuff where it's like, oh, weird. I talked to you. I interviewed you. You never brought that up. You never said that to me. You never told me you went to school with that person. You never told me that you hung out with them before. Why? That's weird.
Yeah. Now take us back to July 11th, 2002, because I thought it was so fucking crazy that your family lied to you and told you that your father died from a heart attack. And there's so many families from the interviews that I've done in the past that had similar stories. And I'm like, why do we keep lying to each other like this?
Yeah,
Like we're not gonna find out the truth.
that's my white side. My white mom and my white grandma. No, but it was. But yeah, I talk about this a lot because I think we really discredit kids' abilities to process information. And I actually
Right.
think the younger people learn things, the better they process them. Um,
I agree.
I think if you had very plainly, in like very simple terms, gone to me at 6, almost 7, and said, bad things happen. There are bad people in the world. Your dad was shot with a gun, which I'm sure at that point I had seen before in a movie or a cartoon or something, and he died. and he's not with us anymore, and you won't ever get to see him again because somebody pulled a trigger and he died. I would have been very upset and probably very like, what? I don't understand. But
Rightfully so.
that to me is better than going, oh, my family lied to me for 6 years. And not only did they lie to me, it's one thing to be like, hey, your dad's not with us anymore and you're 6 and you're kind of like, huh? They made up a whole story. They said it was a heart attack. I mean, there's all this stuff. And
Wow.
it's like, that to me is like, now you've created a whole world for me to like, live in
Right.
that's not real. Um,
That's so crazy.
yeah, so it was very weird. And, I understand again, there's this level of like empathy where it's like, I get it. I understand like why you did what you did and why you feel the way that you feel. But I don't know if you were really thinking about the grander scenario and like the real impact that this was going to have. And yeah, and I think yeah, you didn't give me enough credit to be able to process that information and carry it and move forward with my life. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. And when I was listening to the show, I thought it was so crazy because your dad was known for having a lot of guns throughout the house. So the fact that he didn't pick not one gun up lets me know that he knew the person.
Yes, so I agree. Um, I think that so in order to get to my dad's front door, you have to go up the steps. So it's kind of like one of those like the first floor is like at the top floor, kind of, and you go up
Okay.
the steps, and that's where the front door is. And then the downstairs is like a basement area. And
Got it.
so you go up these steps. Now, if you go up the steps, the front door is in the middle of the house. So on this side, you have like a bunch of bay windows. It's the living room and my sister's room past that. And on this side, you have my dad's room. So
Hmm.
when you go up those steps, you're passing my dad's side of the house where my dad's window is.
Right.
So I think he heard voices that he recognized coming up the steps. He gets out of bed because I'm sure they were loud and whatever. And it's like 6:40 in the morning. So he gets out of bed to go and be like, what is going on out there? Like, why
Right.
is so and so there? And what are they doing here at 6:40 in the morning? And he starts walking to the door. And I think the reason he didn't grab a gun is because he was like, what's going on outside? Why are they here? And he knew them. If he heard voices he didn't recognize, my dad, A, probably wouldn't have gotten out of bed.
Right.
B, he would have grabbed a gun. For
Especially
sure.
if he thought that it was a threat.
For sure. Because one of the last things he said was, my daughter's in here talking about my sister. And so I think yeah, he went to the door thinking that it was maybe not a friendly face, but a familiar face. And at the very least, before dying, thinking that they were close enough that he could say, my daughter's here, and they wouldn't have done anything.
Wow.
Uh, but that's just what I assume because
Right.
we don't know what my dad was thinking.